Balancing work, school, and parenting is challenging to begin with. It can be even more of a challenge during these times when many people work remotely and still have a family to take care of. With that in mind, I have invited Isaac Oakeson from Civil Engineering Academy on, and in this video, we're going to give you some tips on how you can study for the PE exam when you have children or other responsibilities that take up a lot of your time. We both have 3 kids, so we have some experience with this, and Isaac has been helping engineers pass the PE exam for years. But before I jump in with Isaac, let me remind you that most successful engineers will tell you that getting their PE license was the biggest career growth driver that they've experienced, whether it was due to a promotion, a salary increase, or just more exciting projects to work on. You want to get your PE license. However, preparing for the PE exam can be a real challenge. But through this and other videos on this channel, you will learn everything you need to know about the licensing process, including PE exam preparation. So please be sure to subscribe to my channel here, as my weekly videos will help you pass the PE exam. And if you leave questions in the comments, I will answer them on future videos. In fact, this video was created in response to a comment on a previous video. Let's jump in with Isaac. All right, now I'd like to welcome back Isaac Oakeson from Civil Engineering Academy. Isaac, welcome back to pass the PE exam.
Hey, thanks for having me, Anthony. It's good to be here.
Yeah, for sure. We're happy to have you back. Our listeners really enjoyed your previous video about, thinking about the difficulty levels of each of the civil PE exams. And if you missed that one, we'll link to it in the comments of this video for sure. But today, Isaac, we're going to talk about something that, I think you and I know a lot about. And, when you have kids and you have something like studying for the PE exam, which is a big task ahead. It's a question we get all the time. How can I study? I have kids. I'm working as an engineer. So many things going on. It's something that we really wanted to kind of dive into on this video and kind of, help people with this challenge.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. I mean, most people are starting their PE journey, at the same time they're kind of having children and life happens,
Yeah,
So here we are trying to figure that out.
for sure. And not to mention we've had a pandemic thrown on top of us too over the last year, which is,
Yes.
if you
And,
had,
and I'm in Utah. They threw an earthquake in there too, so that was fun.
oh geez.
Just throw it all in.
Yeah, I mean, what else can we take? But I mean, if you think about it, when we weren't in a pandemic and people were going to the office every day, they could maybe find some time at work, whether it was lunchtime or something, to study, because when they got home, they were going to have their kids. Now, a lot of people still are not going to work and they're doing remote stuff. Their kids are home doing remote school. So there's a lot going on right now. So what we're going to do here is Isaac has written about this on his website. He's done some content around this before, and he's got 7 really good points that I think can be helpful in terms of helping you manage this and manage what you have going on. So we're going to kind of walk through them and talk through them a little bit to try to help you. So the first one, Isaac, is set a specific time to study. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to build habits. If you're preparing for this exam, I think it's very important to set a specific time or times that you can study for this. Once you build out a schedule, then we can really get support around that schedule. So we really need to figure out when you can do it. So, what are those specific times that you can block out in your schedule that we can prepare for this exam, because this exam is going to change your life. And if you can really nail down, if you've got a vision for the benefits that this will give you, then it's easy to, make time for this. And whether that's something you do early in the morning or something you do late at night, if you are in the workplace, a lot of employers do allow you to work and study, because the value of you as an employee is you having a license. And so they want you to have that. A lot of employers do allow you to do that, as long as you're getting, if you're getting your work done. If you are at work, try to carve out some time there too, but set a specific time or times that you can study, and then we can work around that and get the support we need.
Yeah, for sure. And, I went through this myself when I took the PE exam. I was getting married. I had a consulting engineering job. I had a lot of responsibilities going on. And so what I did, to Isaac's point, was I put it on my calendar every morning very early. It was something like 5:30 to 6:30 or 5:30 to 7. I would get up early, get on my kitchen table and just study, because I knew once I went to work, once I came home, there was just too many things going on. And I felt that this exam was so important that I needed to schedule the time, just like we schedule everything else on our calendars. We schedule our work meetings, we schedule doctor's appointments. You need to schedule the studying for the PE exam. And like Isaac said, once you do that, you can kind of work backwards and figure out everything you have to do. But because of the importance of what this credential is to you in your career and really in your life, it's critically important that you get that on the calendar. So that's the first one. Set that specific time. The second one, Isaac, which I also think is really important, stay strong and believe in yourself.
Yeah, I would say 80% of this exam is a mental game. And if you're going into this thinking that you are going to slip, or that you can't do it, or you don't have time for this, then you've kind of set yourself up for failure. And we don't want to do that. So if you can come in staying strong, having a strong belief in yourself that you can do this, and stay confident through this process, you're not, obviously you're not going to know everything about every subject, and nobody does. So you're going to give this your best shot though. And when the exam time comes, you're going to go in with confidence, with a good attitude, even if you are a repeat taker. If you're a repeat taker, I know that can get you down, and that really stinks mentally, emotionally. There's some baggage there that comes with being a repeat taker. But if you got to stay strong in what you're doing, and have a really good mental attitude. And that's really like half the battle is having that right attitude.
Yeah, no, I think it's important because we talk all the time, and we've done videos, and Isaac's done videos about how to study, the problems, all these types of things, what codes, what books, looking at the reference manual. But at the end of the day, too, if you're not confident in yourself, that's not going to help you. If your head's not strong and you're not there, and we're talking about having kids and having other responsibilities, that could even bring more stress to you, where you really need to believe in
Hmm.
yourself. I remember going through this myself. There was some really silly things I used to do. I had like, I typed out my name with the letters PE after it when I was like during going through the study process, and I put it on my monitor. And if I was getting down, or I was like, I don't have time to study, I would be looking at that like Anthony Fasano PE. I'm like, I gotta study, I gotta make that real, which was kind of silly, but it worked for me. It refocused me. I also told my boss, I'm taking this exam. Here's the date I'm taking it. I'm gonna pass it, and that level of accountability was there. So there's things that you have to do to keep driving yourself, especially when you do have kids and other responsibilities that everyone's kind of draining a little bit of your time and energy. Something's got to keep you motivated and keep you going. So that is really important. All right. So the third one, Isaac, is find your study zone. Talk to us about what that means.
So what we're talking about is finding a place where you can really do deep work and deep problem solving. You have to get your mind back into homework mode, and this might be difficult to do when you've been out of school forever. But what you're going to do is, when you start studying problems again, it kind of brings back, you were doing homework when you were in college, and this is very similar to that. You got to get a study zone for yourself. You got to find a place where you can come back to and study for this over and over again. I don't recommend that you study on the couch or in front of a TV or something that's going to distract you all the time. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we have a place that we're studying, and that we can mentally get into a zone where we can do some deep problem solving and get our mindset on working homework problems, basically.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we just interviewed a couple episodes ago a former major league or a professional baseball player who passed his PE exam, and he was saying that the big thing is you got to produce on like what he says is game day, which is test day in this regard. And what's very helpful for that is exactly what Isaac said: is you need to study in exam-like conditions. You need to be quiet, you need to be sitting at a desk. Eventually, as you go through the process, you can time yourself and do stuff like that. But that's kind of, you need to get into that mode, because if you can't focus, you're not going to learn these problems. You're also not, even if you do learn these problems, but it's chaotic or you're taking hours to learn them, you're not going to have that time on the exam. So come up with a good study atmosphere that's going to definitely help you when you get into that exam. All right. The next one's a big one, Isaac. Keep the kids busy. That may be more challenging than some of the problems on the exam.
Yeah, that is a difficult one. So, as part of this whole process, it helps to tell everybody, within your family and circle of influence, what's going on in your life. And knowing this is such a huge goal, we have to try to keep our kids busy so we can set aside time to study for this. So, if your study time is late at night when after kids go to sleep, then great. If you're trying to make time where it's something after work, and maybe you have a spouse that could get on board with this and could watch the kids for you, you have grandparents or family members that are close, and I don't know what the current cost of babysitters are, but there may be an incentive to find someone to come and watch your kids for just a little bit. But what we're trying to just say here is that, like, you need the ability to set up this zone to study, and you have to keep your kids busy. I get it. I got 3 girls around the house, and it gets difficult. It seems like the only thing that keeps kids busy right now is like YouTube and the latest Disney movies sometimes. But I think if our family and our extended family knows about this specific goal in our life, we could have family come and help us on this journey to pass this. That is one way that we can keep kids busy. The other thing is, again, like I said earlier, try maybe to schedule your times where kids are asleep or things of that effect to help you out. There's always candy. Keep them busy with. I'm just kidding.
It is. I mean, it's very important. You got to get family commitment on this. Your spouse has to be willing to back you up and do more than he or she might normally do. Maybe if you have parents close by or a sibling close by that can take the kids from time to time, a couple of hours a week. Every hour counts in terms of studying. And then, like Isaac said, if you have to even you know spend some money, you get a babysitter. I mean, listen, we're talking about like I said, a career changing, life changing credential. Every hour matters. So you have to do what you have to do, and maybe just friends. Set up some time for them to go hang out with their friends, get them outside a little bit. Maybe it's a good thing, kind of for everybody. All right,
Yeah.
Isaac. The next one here, number 5. Better to stay up than catch up. What does that mean?
So it is better to continue to study and to stay up on your skills than to lapse in what you're studying and doing. Even, maybe you're talking week to week on your study. You don't want to lapse in your study efforts, because it's like it says, it's better to stay up and practice problems. Let's say you missed something. Let's see if we can squeeze it in. It's better to stay up and keep the habit of going than to try to catch up. And this would also apply to the amount of study time that you're giving yourself to prepare for this exam. If you're trying to cram this exam in 3 months and you have children, that's going to be very difficult. But if you can prepare ahead and you give yourself an ability to catch up on anything that you might have missed during the week, because maybe work was busier that week, or kids had issues, something, you had to take a kid to a hospital. I don't know, something happened. So these are all different. There's just things, life happens. And we want to be able to give ourselves some room so that we can stay on top of things rather than have to catch up last minute and really cram. That's usually not a recipe for success.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this speaks to the idea of giving yourself a longer runway for studying. Giving yourself, if you think you can study in 6 months, give yourself 9 or give yourself 12 and do, just consistent studying every week, even if it's a little bit less each week than if you're trying to cram it in, because it's not the kind of exam, like Isaac said, where you could take 2 weeks or even a week off, because then you got to start back up again. You got to figure out where you were. You got to catch up a little bit. And it's really going to kind of come back to haunt you when you get to exam day. All right, next one, Isaac, number 6, study with a friend.
Yeah, so this can be very helpful. If you have found a friend that's in the same situation as you can celebrate, you can commiserate, you can help each other when you get stuck on certain concepts or problems. Now, I don't want you getting with a friend and you're talking to each other about the latest gossip or show for an hour, when you know how valuable this is, especially when you got kids, and the time you have, to study is very important. So you have to make it a priority. maybe it's you have someone in the same boat as you. And if they have kids, maybe there is some common ground or a way that you could work together on helping each other with the kids and preparing for this. I mean, that might be a rare scenario that you know, have friends with kids that are civil engineers studying for this, but it could be. But if you have a friend that is going through this this whole exam experience with you, it can help you. It can help you prepare for the exam. Um, I would say that, you know, don't get too caught up with having to find a friend going through this, because like I said, I don't want you sitting around and talking about the latest gossip for an hour, because that's going to slow you down quite a bit. But if you could hammer out the same homework problems maybe at the same time with each other and then compare notes, then that's great.
Yeah, for sure. And I think really what this also can go back to is what we talked about earlier, kind of having the confidence in yourself to succeed. When you have other people that you're working with, it helps you to keep your level of confidence up too. You don't feel like you're doing it alone. You're not up against this big thing all by yourself. So I found that to be very helpful in my own study,
Hmm.
kind of having a study group just for that. Again, when you're dealing with kids and other responsibilities, it has a tendency to stress you out and become overwhelmed, and you need people there to kind of continue to kind of prop you up and help you to keep going. All right, Isaac, last one here, which I think is an important one, number 7, be realistic.
Yeah, be realistic with what you've got going on in your life. Kids are obviously having kids is a difficult thing. It's very rewarding. It's hard to set a time and a place to study, obviously, and this kind of just ties back to probably the amount of study time that you're giving yourself. If you have children, you're probably going to need more time allotted to help prepare you for that PE exam. And so be realistic with your schedule. You know, things happen. Like we said, kids go to the hospital, things happen all the time. So make sure you're realistic with what you can do and be confident in what you've got. And if you just keep going and keep plugging and chugging and making an effort, I promise that you will eventually get over the hump of passing this and you can do it. So I think that's kind of the main point on that is and the other thing on my mind about being realistic is that you're probably not going to be shooting for a perfect score on this exam. If you have kids, we want to pass. Like, that's what we want to do. And so as part of that, don't kill yourself to try to get perfect scores on practice exams and things of that nature. Be realistic. You don't have a ton of time, so you're going to do what it takes to get this thing done. And that's kind of what we mean by be realistic with this.
Yeah, it says PE after your name, not PE 82 on the
Yes.
that's all we're going for. But all right, great stuff. So basically, we covered seven actions you can take there to help you if you're dealing with kids and other responsibilities when you study, which I'll quickly recap them here. Number 1, set a specific time to study. This is an important one. Number 2, stay strong and believe in yourself. You need that confidence to succeed. Number 3, find your study zone. Where can you go and do some deep work, some deep focus when you study? Number 4, keep the kids busy. Maybe that's with family, maybe that's hiring a sitter. Number 5, it's better to do consistent studying and stay up with things the entire time rather than trying to catch up when you're studying for this exam. Number 6, study with a friend or some kind of study group. And then number 7, be realistic in what you can accomplish with kids and other responsibilities. Don't try to study for an exam in a month or 2 months. Give yourself some time and make it work the way that'll work for you so that you can pass the exam. So Isaac Oakeson from Civil Engineering Academy, thank you so much for spending some time with us here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
And you can come to pepassport.com, click on the webinars tab. Isaac's doing webinars for us all the time on how to pass the FE exam, the PE exam. He's got some great stuff. You could also check out his courses there, and we will continue to try to help you pass the PE exam. I hope you found my conversation with Isaac helpful. In upcoming videos, I will solve some more PE exam practice problems and answer other questions from our subscribers. Pass the PE exam videos will publish weekly, so please be sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss something that could make a substantial difference in your exam result. And please, ask questions and leave comments below this video, and I will respond to you. and let me know if there's a specific topic you'd like me to cover or a question that you need answered. Pass the PE exam will have you covered. I'll see you next week on Pass the PE exam.